Thanks, Charlie. Okay, AI 2024, right? This is how it feels like trying to keep up with AI in 2024. We're all on the hamster wheel, wondering how the hell we keep up. And more importantly, not just how the hell we keep up, right? What happens next? Because if you listen to Sam Altman, and you've probably heard this in every session on AI this morning, like 95% of what marketers use, everyone in this room, strategists, creative professionals, agencies in a few years is going to be done easily, nearly instantly, and at basically no cost by AI. So, thought I promised you an optimistic take on the future of AI and marketing, right? This is kind of the looming fear that we all have when it comes to AI. But there's another way to think about this, right? And for those of you who've been to one of my talks before, I think this is the 4th time I'm on the MadFest stage, you will recognize the next 4 or 5 slides because they're exactly the same as they were last year. They're exactly the same, actually, as I've been presenting for the last 10 years. Well, not this slide specifically, because this was before the generative AI bubble. This was Jeff Bezos, and he was on stage, I think it was 2018, 2019, talking about the future of retail. And this journalist asked him, as you can read, Jeff, what are you working on? What's so exciting? What's going to be different about retail in 10 years' time? And he stopped and he said, it's interesting, right? I'm always asked this question on every stage I sit on. What's different? He said, I don't think I've ever been asked the other side of that question, which, as you can see, is what's not going to change? And he said, I submit to you that actually it's that second question which is far more interesting to me and my leadership team at Amazon. What's not going to change? Because it's the things that aren't going to change that we know we can invest time, effort, money, and energy in because they'll still be paying us back in 10 years. Right? He said, we know that no customer in 2035 is going to come up to me and go, Jeff, love what you're doing at Amazon, but I just wish you had higher prices and slower delivery times. Right? It's never going to happen. And he said, that's the great thing about this second question, what's not going to change, is you know it. You don't need to pay McKinsey hundreds of thousands of dollars to go off to 6 months to study this. You know it, because the things that aren't going to change are the big basic human needs, right? The things that your business is still going to be in the business of doing in 10, 20, 50, 100 years if you stick around that long. And that is why, really, we should be optimistic. That's why everyone in this room should be optimistic. Everyone at this conference should be optimistic, because this is what we, right, the marketing industry, this is what creative people, this is what agencies are good at, or should be good at, right, is understanding people, understanding what resonates with people. And how do we understand, though? Because, it would be naive to say the world isn't changing, right? Not everything's stable. These big basic human needs might stay the same. And if you remember one slide from this whole presentation, it's this. Right, the kind of secret weapon, I believe, and what I've built my career around, right? Just built a business called Trend Watching, and then wrote a book, which is about looking at innovations, right? The very things that threaten to overwhelm us, the things that every time you sit down at your laptop, there's new competitors, new startups, new products and services coming into the marketplace. It feels overwhelming, but it's actually these very innovations which show us signals about where things are headed next. And the reason why this happens, right, is because, and this is, I've basically, my first book was called Trend-Driven Innovation. We wrote 350 pages on this. In the next 60 seconds, I'll give you don't save you from having to read it, I'll give you the big idea at the heart of that book. It is that we consumers live in what we call an expectation economy. And what we mean by this is customer expectations around those big, basic human needs and wants. Transparency, convenience, low prices, entertainment, right, connection, human connection, big, basic human needs, are set by the brands, the businesses, the products that raise those expectations, right? Create a baseline. So think about this, right? The obvious cliched example, and I barely need to say it to everyone in this room, right? The first time you pull out your phone, you ordered an Uber 10 years ago, right? You could watch the car arrive, you saw the driver, saw the rating, you jump in the car, you can share your arrival time with someone that you're meeting. You get out and you just walk out without paying. You then walked into H&M and Wagamama's, right, and you had none of that transparency, none of that convenience. And that is the expectation gap, right? That is how trends happen. That is how, you can identify innovation opportunities, look for gaps between what people have and where expectations are heading. And as I said, so this is what I do. I feel incredibly lucky. I feel like I have one of the best jobs in the world, right? I basically get to speak to entrepreneurs, innovators, people who are raising expectations around basic human needs and wants. And this was the latest book I did. We launched it with my co-author Rohit. He's based in the US. We launched this at South by Southwest last year. And the book is 30 short chapters telling the stories of innovators, of instigators that are raising people's expectations. And that's what I'm going to share with you over the next 10 or 15 minutes, right? About why we can be optimistic about marketing, or just the world really, in an AI-driven future. Because the secret, right, if we talk about, in a way, the big trends are obvious, right? We talk about health and wellness, we talk about connectivity, we talk about transparency. We can see where a lot of these trends are going, right? Expectations are going to rise. That's what I said. But the trick, of course, is being able to see things that other people don't, right? You want to be this guy, right? Casually holding his beer while everyone else is filming through their phones, right? How can you look at the same things that everyone else is seeing and see them differently? And that's hopefully what I'm going to do over the next few moments with you. Because the first big idea I want to kind of throw into the room about optimism, right, is that yes, the world is going to change, right, profoundly. The world of work is going to change profoundly. But one of the ideas that I want you to think about is, what would it look like if, yes, there were fewer people in many of the businesses, many of your clients' businesses, but they were doing better jobs? Because I believe we've been here before, right? I mean, tell a story. Think about, for AI, think back a generation and think about spreadsheets, right, coming into a finance function. Most people in this room don't want to think about spreadsheets, right? It's the last thing we want to speak about. That's why you're at MadFest. But don't worry about the details on this graph. I'll talk you through it, okay? What happened is spreadsheets came into existence, right? That's the vertical dotted lines here, 3 vertical dotted lines. VisiCalc, Lotus 123, and Microsoft Excel. 3 big spreadsheet programs came into the marketplace, end of the 1970s, early 1980s, right? And what we saw happen was almost overnight, the number of bookkeepers starts to fall, right? So jobs were lost, right? Complete disruption of a finance function, right? You can now do in minutes what would take a bookkeeper hours, if not days. So we've heard this story before. But what happened, okay, so you have a number of bookkeepers starts to fall, but what happens is, you can see, right, the number of accountants and auditors, again, you can be judgmental over whether this is good for society or not, right? The number of accountants increases, right? And then what also happens is the green line is, again, even more questionable, the number of management analysts, right? This was a job that the US government didn't even count as a job before spreadsheets came along, because it didn't exist. You couldn't be a management analyst, right? Because it took too long just to get the damn numbers in the books, right? So this was a job that did not exist, completely created by the existence of spreadsheets, right? And now, of course, right, as you know, so if you do the maths, right, the number of green and number of blue is more than the number of bookkeepers, right, at its peak. But these are better jobs. These are more highly paid. These are more creative. Again, questionable, right? But compared to a bookkeeper, these are more highly cognitively demanding jobs. And what does that look like in a different context, right? Let's jump to a completely different sector. The restaurant sector, right? It's going to happen to white-collar jobs as well. I'm obsessed with this example. So Colonel is the new fast food restaurant from the founder of Chipotle, right? So he's left Chipotle, and this is ticks all the trend boxes, right? It's a plant-based, fast casual dining restaurant, opened a few months ago in New York, right? And you can see there, it's like very tech-forward dining concept. So this is where, as a customer, you come and pick up your food from a little hatch, right? You scan a QR code. And in the kitchen, right, if you could look closely, you can see in the back left there's one of those robot arms, right? You've probably seen pictures of them. It's a robot arm. Now, when he talks about this restaurant concept, he said, this is a vision. We want to create a robot-augmented restaurant. He said, there are people trying to do full automation, right? But he said, I don't actually believe that's what people want when they go and eat out, right? Because if all we wanted was full automation, we'd just get all of our food from vending machines, right? There's a reason why we go to restaurants. And he said, what my vision is to reduce the number of staff to operate a restaurant down to just 3. 3 people to run an entire restaurant outlet. And he said what that means is we can pay them $27 an hour. We can give them proper holiday. We can give them stock options. We can reinvent the McJob, right? And we can make it a good job, because he said, I believe that actually paying people better, we will get the best staff in the restaurant industry, we'll have lower turnover, and we will ultimately deliver a better customer experience, right? And we'll be more successful as a restaurant. We'll reduce our staff costs less, but we can put that savings into getting better staff. And he said, his amazing quote, this, I love this. He said, our vision is, what we've done is we've taken a lot of human interaction out of the process, but we've left just enough. right? And I think this is one of the most profound quotes that I've read about AI. I think every single business, right, all of your clients, if you work in a brand, you should be thinking about this quote over the next 3 or 4 years. What does it look like? What is just enough human interaction for our business? Right, because full automation is really hard, right? And it's going to be a very aggressive race to win. Just enough will be different for every business. And in a different context, right, think about a more white-collar job. I was really struck by this story from IKEA a few months ago. And they said, we have this chatbot on our website. It's called Billy, right, after the bookcase. Many of you will have that, that bookcase in your houses. They said it now handles 50% of the inbound customer queries, right, in our coming into the website. So the basic stuff, I've lost my instructions. When my delivery going to arrive, right? I need to reorder a screw for this part. The basic stuff is being handled by AI now. And so what IKEA have done is they've retrained 8,500 people who used to work doing the kind of mundane customer inquiries. They've retrained them as interior designers. Okay, I mean, they're not going to win any awards, right? They're not going to put Kelly Hoppen out of a job. But if you now pay £25, $30 more or less, you get a 45-minute call with them, and then you get a curated list of products. If you pay £125, they'll give you one of those 3D room visualizations, right, with the products that you could get from IKEA. An entirely new sales channel for IKEA, unlocked by the fact that they're freeing people up from doing mundane customer services. What's really interesting, they did 1.3 billion euros worth of sales through this channel last year. It's 3% of their revenue. If you read their earnings report, it's fastest growing part of their business. They expect it to be 10% of their revenue by 2028, in the next 5 years, right? They've reimagined the business model because of freeing people up to do more creative, more interesting jobs. Right? And I'm not saying everyone's going to do this, but I'm saying imagine, right, with you and your clients, if you could reimagine a future normal of their business, future normal of work, where, there might be a few, less people, but doing better jobs and ultimately delivering better customer experiences. That's the challenge for us all. Second big optimistic idea, right, this is Garry Kasparov on the left, right, you'll recognize him. He calls himself the world's first knowledge worker disrupted by AI, right, 20 years ago when he was beaten by Deep Blue. But he says two interesting things, right? He said, number one, no one watches computer versus computer chess matches, right? They're not interesting to us. We still watch humans play chess, even though we know that the AI is better than humans. And he also says the other thing, and it's good, the big mistake that people make when it comes to human versus machine in this kind of dichotomy that we're always painted, is to assume that humans remain static, right? That we just kind of give up our agency and sit back. Right? And he said, actually, of course, what happens is the chess players of today are better than he was, he said, right? Magnus Carlsen on the right, because they work with AI. They play, they test themselves. They explore new moves, right? And we've seen that with Go as well, right? AlphaGo, the best Go players, they respond to AI's creativity, right? And again, we've seen this over the last decade, right? A decade ago, very meta, Chris Anderson, the founder and curator, or not the founder, the curator of the TED conferences, gave a TED talk about how we were entering a world of what he called then, right? Remember, this is kind of early days of YouTube. We are entering this era of crowd-accelerated innovation. Because he said what video does is it helps us learn many things far faster than books do. Right? If you're trying to do something physical, learn how to tie a tie, learn how to cook, learn how to do some DIY, video is 1,000 times better than looking at steps in a book, right? And we all know this. And we've seen this happen over the last decade. You think about how fast things like TikTok accelerate human learning, right? Human performance. It might just be a stupid dance challenge, right? But every time you open that app, you're seeing the kind of the pinnacle of the world's learning, right? Accelerated really fast. So we've seen that over the last decade. Okay, and what's going to happen next when it comes to humans developing skills is we're going to have, and we're starting to see this, continuous real-time, coaches, tireless people, AIs, helping us learn anything it is that we want to learn, right? And here's a much better example of this shown by video. Is there any sound on this? Bit of techno. Anyway, you can. Anyway, For those of you who see, I've completely lost my slides now. Anyway, I'll talk over it. What it was an AI going, it looks like you're trying to it looks like you're trying to craft a sword. You're going to need some metal. You're going to need some wood, right? You're going to need to. So you open Minecraft. If anyone has kids, you watch them play it. It's completely impenetrable. Oh, we're going back a couple of slides. Right, here we go. Sound? Okay. It's fine. I'll talk over it, don't worry. If we have the slides back, I'll just chat. So basically the AI explains to you, because, and you guys will have all seen this already, right? The next generation of multimodal AI tools can see exactly what it is you are doing on your screen, right? Can see and hear and understand, and therefore, as I say, it can talk you through. It says, press E to open the inventory, right? And it will guide you through. And this, of course, will come to everything. Let's give it one more go.
Hey, Copilot, how's it going?
Hey, it looks like you're about to dive into some Minecraft.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to make a sword.
To craft a sword, you'll need some materials. Can you open your inventory? Just press E.
There we go. Oh. The laptop's crashed. AI and emerging technology. All good. Okay, we're back. So, so my point is, right, so we will not stay static as humans, right? We will use AI to improve our humanity, to be more human. And I think one of the most interesting strands of this, right, is how we will use technology to connect better with other humans, right? And I just want to give you a little story of why I think this is so important. So, at the start of this year, Google released their Amy chatbot. So this is a medical chatbot that you can see has a conversation with a patient, like your GP does, to try and triage like what's wrong with you, right? And they tested it against real human doctors, right? And their hypothesis was, that it would outperform humans on diagnosis, right? Because it's got access to all medical information, kind of stuff you might expect. When they released the results, right, firstly, the AI outperformed the human doctors on, I think it was 20 out of a 21 or 25 out of a 26 metrics that it was competing with humans on. The real kicker of this, and I'll explain this graph to you, the area where it outperformed humans the most, as you can see there, was empathy, right? Pink is the AI. And everyone kind of threw up their hands and it's like, oh shit, this was the only thing we were meant to have going for us, was empathy, right, in the world of AI. What is left for us? And look, I think this is an amazing tool if you're in rural Brazil or rural India and you have no access to primary care, right? But I think there's a different side to this story, right? Because if you can see a doctor, right, you're looking for more than just a diagnosis, right? This was the human doctors were using text messages as well, right? So to make it fair, right? And this was not our experience of a lot of the healthcare system. And actually, what happens, right, when you actually share messages? We've proven that AIs can be more empathetic than people, but there's a kicker to this, right? Oh, it's crashed for me again. I don't know if we can go on to the next slide. Oh yeah, so there was, again, I love this, only in the US, right? There's this mental health chat platform called Coco. And it's a bit like, I guess, the Samaritans would be the equivalent in the UK, right? You can text and get reassurance from a counselor. And the CEO tweeted, he was like, we wanted to run an experiment. And we just, without telling anyone, we turned over all of our message creation to ChatGPT. And I love this like real life experiment with people who are going mental health crises, right? Only in America. But they said, what happened, right, was astonishing. We had all these messages, the response time fell, 95%, the messages were longer. The users loved it, right? Every customer satisfaction user went skyrocketed straight away, right? But then, as you can read here, he said, right up until the point that people learned that those messages were written by a machine, right? And I love this. Again, I think this is one of the I promised you that was the most profound quote. The second most profound quote about AI, right, is simulated empathy feels weird. It feels empty, right? And many of you, will kind of have this in the back of your mind. These AI avatars, they're really exciting, for the first time we use them. It's incredibly novel. But the truth is, right, when we go to the doctors, right, when we want, if you get bad news from a doctor, you're looking for more than just the diagnosis. You're looking more than just a long, pat on the back. You're looking for someone to look you in the eye, hold your hand, and tell you it's going to be okay, right? And I think we're going to see many more examples of products and services like this. So this is a startup called The Bridge. It's a kind of healthcare co-pilot for doctors. And what they do, you ask the patient, is it okay if I turn on this co-pilot? I'm going to record the consultation. At the end of the consultation, the bot writes up the notes. Right, I mean, it's really interesting what it does. So it writes up the notes in, formatted correctly for your electronic health record, turns a 10-minute job for the doctor into a 30 to 90-second job. The doctor still has to approve. Not fully automated, right? Human in the loop still, but it reduces the time, as I said, by 90% for those doctors. What's really interesting is when they start testing this with patients, patients love it because it can, as we know with AIs, they're amazing at translating content. So it creates a very medical, official record for your medical notes. It then can create a version of the medical notes for the patient that uses no jargon, that's written so an 11-year-old can understand it. So they can talk to their notes, right? So not only do you get the increased empathy of during the consultation, the doctor is not worried about making notes, right? Not trying to get ahead of themselves and collect those patient notes, right? They can fully focus on the patient, but the patient has a better experience after the consultation as well, right? This is about using AI to improve human connection, right? And we're going to see, this taken to the next level, right? Of course, at the moment, this is text, this is voice recordings. This is an example I came across when I was preparing this presentation. This is NAP, that this lady in San Francisco is building for events, where it's basically, when you sign up for the MadFest app, it would use your face, and you can do stuff like this.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, Travis.
How are you?
Does 12 Lab have a secret searching
So this
lab
uses
for
facial
Sarah?
recognition, it scans who they are, and I don't know if you can read. In green, it even gives you a little ChatGPT written icebreaker.
Thank you.
Slightly dystopian, right? We kind of think this is a bit weird, but you can see where this is heading, right? You can see where this is heading. Embed this in the Meta smart glasses, right? And it start getting prompts about the people who you're meeting. Okay, it's not going to replace human connection. It will, give us shortcuts, just like we use GPS to drive at the moment, right? And again, we're seeing example after example of this. Conscious of running out of time, so I'm going to go very quickly. Oh, and we've crashed the slides again. It's not liking my videos. Anyway, this is an example of Hume. If any of you have tried Hume, Hume is what they call the world's first empathetic LLM. So you can go to, and you can try this yourself, you can go to demo.hume.ai and have a conversation with this AI, turning the camera on your laptop, and it gives you in real time an emotional readout of like the emotions in your face and with your voice, right? And again, my point is that we will have conversations with AI, of course we will, right? But also humans will use AI in order to, as I said, improve their insights, improve their ability to understand what is happening with the humans they're connecting with, and use that to have better, stronger connections. Oh, I saw it for a second and then it went away. Every time I do the next slide, it's killing it. That's kind of problematic as a presenter. Okay. Especially when all my entire deck is pictures and videos. Okay, well, we can almost move to the interactive exercise. Are we going to be able to rescue this? Because there's only so much I can talk when you guys can't see it. This was not the bit of a presentation I was worried about, actually, when we were doing an interactive AI experience. I was more worried about that bit. I'll use this moment to get my water. Okay, so my point, which I've been hammering home, what if you could use AI to enhance human interactions and relationships? Is it going to be better if you do it from there? Do you want me to just signal when the next slide? Is it this? Okay, all right, well, we'll give it a go. We've got a few more slides. Okay, the third reason to be optimistic, right, and this is the big one for everyone in this room, right? Those first two are maybe a bit more macro. This is the one that's perhaps most relevant to everyone in here, right? Is this idea of crowd-powered creativity. And this is one of the things I'm most excited about when it comes to AI. Right? Because we've seen, right? We've seen, you've all read about Sora, seen it, right? Many of you will have seen, I think it was yesterday that they opened up Gen 3 runway to everyone, right? The ability, text prompts to video. So this video was literally created by someone typing in warehouse, can't see my notes, warehouse with exploding fauna coming out of the floor, right? And it creates this video in seconds. We know it's not going to stop with just video, right? It's going to get even richer than this, right? And so this is an example from Roblox, where you can't see it, but I'll talk about it again. This is a video. So Roblox announced their AI assistant. So for those of you who know about Roblox, you know, the multiplayer video game, 75 million active users, 50% of them under 13, right? So we talk about where customer expectations are headed, right? Look at platforms like Roblox, right? Kids' experience today will be, you know, everyone's experience tomorrow, right? And expectations. What they are doing with Roblox, and this is much richer when you can see the video behind me, they now have, you can create little micro games in the video. Of course, there's kind of coding skills required to do that. What they are doing is basically making it so you can just type in, I want to create a game in the jungle. A jungle scene pops up. I want there to be Roman ruins, right? And ruins pop up. I want the baddie to be a giant bear. A giant bear pops up, right? They're reducing the gap between creative impulse and they're having a creative idea and, you know, seeing it react, there we go, to virtually zero. And this is one of the big implications of this, right? And I think this is, again, another big, profound quote about AI. So this is Scott Belsky, who's sold Behance to Adobe. He's now the chief product officer of Adobe. And he's got this amazing set line. We're shifting from a world where we're skills constrained, right, being able to make video, you know, music, whatever, to one where we're imagination constrained. That is going to be the big limiting factor. And again, this is amazing for everyone in this room, right? Because we should be the people who have the imagination, right? To think about what we can create. And so this is a lot about media, a lot about, you know, music, videos, video games. I think this is also going to massively impact the kind of, you know, wider economy, right? And one signal of that, which I was really struck by, Shell, every year they have a renewable energy hackathon, right? Of course they do. They have to show people that they're committed to the energy transition, right? We can be very cynical about, you know, how much they're really investing in this. But I think one tidbit from this that I was fascinated about, they said applications to these hackathons have risen exponentially in the last 2 years. This year they had 10,000 applications. It was a challenge about using agricultural waste, you know, to energy. And where they said one of their theses is why they're getting so many applications now is because AI is making it easier for people to have, you know, a half-formed idea and develop it and bring it and put it in front of, you know, people in a hackathon, right? So I think this is really exciting for the wider economy as well. But the thing I would say, just a caveat before I wrap up and we do the exercise, is, right, yes, you know, we're now entering a world where we're imagination constrained. Anyone can think of anything. Of course, right, the world is not so simple. What happens, and many of you who are laughing, you'll remember this story, right? Different skills become the scarcity. Different skills become rare and valuable, right? So in a world where you can imagine anything, and this was the story at the start of the year, these guys up in, I think it was Glasgow, right? They basically used ChatGPT and Midjourney to create this like fantastical, beautifully looking, immersive experience around Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka. They sold tickets, it was like £50, you know, you could take your kids and it was all very Instagram friendly. And people turned up and it was like this kind of empty warehouse with a tragic, like, you know, bouncy castle in the corner and this kind of crystal meth addicted Oompa Loompa here. It was completely depressing, right? Because it just didn't work. Like they couldn't actually, you know, meet the expectations that they'd set, or the AI had helped them set, right? So a quick caveat, yes, the crowd is exciting. Being able to generate ideas from anywhere is exciting, but new skills will become rare. So the question I would ask you to think about with your clients, right, is how can you think about harnessing the energy of this AI-empowered cloud? How can you bring new ideas, new voices to the table rather than fight it? And with that, right, this is the part I was really worried about. So, you know, let's see. I'm going to hand over to my partner, my creative collaborator, Natalia, who is the founder of the neuroscience-led visual strategy workshop, Natalka Design, where we're going to do probably the boldest, bravest, stupidest thing we've ever done, which is try and do a live AI-powered demo of crowd-powered creativity with you guys. So please join me in welcoming Natalia to the stage.
Thanks. Which way do I go? Nice.
Okay, guys, this is, I'm totally not worried. But let's see, we can do it. So we have few minutes, so let's just get on with it. As Henry was saying, you know, where we maybe skills will change, but the imagination's still there, our taste is still there. This is very important, this will last, and this will, we will thrive in that space. So we just want you to quickly take your papers and pens. If you don't have some pens, then please borrow from us or from your friends, say hi. And the gig will be, can we draw your dream client from 2035?
Awesome.
You will have 1 minute to do so. And I want you
needs
to
some
be
pens?
really, really creative.
Who needs some pens?
We're
Anyone?
not talking about
Can you
the
catch?
jobs that already exist. We're talking about really jobs that are not there, and we have to just come up with it. We did a little
Anyone else?
experiment with
Anyone
a coffee
them?
sommelier, where basically
them,
in the
yeah.
future, you know,
Can you
robots
catch?
will be handing us coffees, hopefully, and we'll just have all
you
more
share them?
time. But still, the human will be there, because at the end of the day, if I'm honest with you guys, humans need creativity and community to thrive. So I'm coming here with a very positive outlook on it. Now let's see if we can make this happen. So you have 1 minute to draw the future dream client from 2035. Let's just go there if you can think that far. And we created a Madfest song so that it, you know, gives you some sort of nice mad vibes as we do it. All made by AI. So enjoy the lyrics and doodle future dream client from 2035. I promise you this makes sense after. And as I always say, stickmen are fine. You don't have to be an artist. If you never drew or you can't, you know, draw whatever, that's why you're here. It's okay. It's literally just to express your idea. The simpler the better, actually. So don't stress, guys. We'll give you a few more seconds because today is all about, you know, doing it a bit off the cuff. So I'll be nice and I'll give you a bit more time. Think super simple. Seriously, this is about a very simple doodle. We're not here trying to, you know, become Disney artists. It might feel awkward. That's okay. Yeah. Okay, let's do it. In the interest of time. Right, can I ask you all, you know what this is, pick up your phone and scan this QR code. We're going into the exercise part for our Visualize Futures tool. Try to scan the code and it should take you to a lovely website of Visualize Futures. If you can't, if you for any reason struggle, please go to bit.ly link. I hope you can see it. Come up close if you can't see it. This is, you know, we're in a workshop, so God knows what's going to happen. Hopefully all the good things. So you should be seeing you should be able to scan your doodle. So just follow that. It's literally phase 1 of the tool, so please be kind to it. Don't be like, oh, could be better. You know, we're working on it. But scan your doodle. And there's 2 things you can do. You can prompt it with, you know, let's say I drew a robot handing me a coffee. Or if you're really confident about your doodle, you don't have to put even any prompt. And what should happen next is you should be seeing slowly your, let's say, doodle turning into a really pretty three versions of your doodle. So as you go, let me know if you're experiencing that. If you guys haven't scanned yet, I will come back to it.
So to take an image, you just tap the screen, then it'll take the photo.
Oh, and also don't be worried that it takes a moment. So it's going to be kind of doing the AI smart thing and just kind of generating it. So don't refresh it. Just give it some time. Probably because there's few of us and it's hot and poor laptop is, you know, and everything might take a second. But you should be seeing slowly how things are popping up. So should we move to the page of it? Like, can we see that live?
Yeah,
cool.
So this is,
yeah, have a look.
if you scroll down to the bottom, George, thank you.
So things should be popping up. So basically what we're seeing now here is we're just throwing it into one container. So think of it as it's going to be one place where everything's going to be pulled down. Of course, it's going to struggle a bit with like generating now live all the pictures, but we have your doodles coming up. And after some time, we're going to have all the pretty versions of it. Can you see on your phones your pretty version, your elevated AI versions of your doodles? Anyone?
If you scroll all the way to the bottom, it's just because it has to send it to ChatGPT and then from ChatGPT to Stable Diffusion, so it takes a few moments. If you go all the way, Has everyone seen it on their phone? Because it will come on your phone.
Yay! We have one person.
No
Yay!
one?
Woo! Big clap! Come on, guys! The AI is working. Just very slow, I guess.
you keep on going
But
all the
you
way to
should
the
be
bottom.
seeing this with a moment that your doodle becomes these elevated AI visuals. And what should be happening here is it would be all kind of coming to one container, and we can see it all in one place. And at the moment, this is very much just a
There we
fun
go.
little experience. Can we, yeah?
If you, George, if you untick the auto refresh, yeah, there we go.
Can we see?
Now go all the way to the bottom.
Let's see if it's popping.
There we go.
Yes! Can we see something?
Who can see their image coming up?
Thank you, AI. Can you see, guys?
Super cool.
So, okay, I want few hands up. Like, who can see their doodle here? And like, let's just like talk about it. Let's not. Okay, what did you draw?
My client is behind me, just next to me.
So him in 2035, is that what it is? Okay, that's brilliant. Who else can see their doodles, guys? Like, hands up. Like, come on. Workshop. Yeah? Okay.
Everyone
Just
wants
shout out what you drew. So we can see them popping now, slowly.
So if you refresh the page now again,
Love
it should
it.
have loaded a lot more, maybe.
Robot, mom, runner, empath, cashbot. Love that. Oh my god. There's going to be some new startups over here. By the way, afterwards, guys, we
There
can
we
all we can send that to you, a bit of an analysis from that. So if you guys want it, we'll have access. You have access to it after. Is it happening?
Yeah.
Yay!
Everyone wants clients with money. it turns out. Who
Of
knew?
course.
Who knew? yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of bags of money. There we go. What's going on? Okay. Human coffee. Oh, what's going on? Who said the coffee? I'm in. I'll
Okay,
invest.
maybe one more time. Can we just refresh it one more time and we'll see a few more? If you do, yeah.
So who used prompts and who didn't? Like, I just want to see if you guys all gave like the prompt, like I drew this, or did you not? Because like the results can be good either way, but what we found that if it's a doodle and someone, let's say, drew a rocket,
Right.
then AI might think because the doodle wasn't that great, let's say, that it turned out to be a fish. So that's why we're still using prompts, but with time, you should be able to
Now let's. Can we go back to the presentation?
yeah,
now?
to
We'll wrap up
recognize.
'cause we're
Okay,
over
we
time.
have some. Okay, cool. Okay, so guys, this was just a little experience and an exercise. Thank you so much for taking part in it. It's literally MVP of this entire project, and 3 lessons and 3 kind of takeaways why we are even building it, and it will be so much more after that. Basically, number 1 is we're allowing you guys to open up new skills. So far, unless you're not a marketer and you work, in a, let's say, corporate environment, pharma, law, and all that, you kind of are lacking those skills to kind of bring a doodle into, bigger ideas. So we're basically building that for you all to have more skills to kind of be able to share with your team, with your clients. And also, a lot of people think that, ChatGPT is like, it will save us all, and the idea will be 10, like my idea is 1 and ChatGPT will make it 10. And actually that's not the case. Like AI will make it good enough. So we're not claiming here that we're making these doodles amazing and everything, but for now, this is for us to be able to know that AI can do good enough, let's say, presentation for you to share, again, a ready idea with your team, with your client. Instead of just having like a doodle in your pocket, you can be like, oh, that's what I was thinking, or is that what you were thinking? And just kind of have that, let's say, bettered conversation with whoever you're working with. And then the last one, more diverse languages and more diversity will come into play in general because, I'm a bit of a geek. I work a lot with neuroscience and how our brains work and everything. And, there's a lot of data, and I bet that visual communication, using drawing at your work, it really, really enhances the results for you because, let's be honest, unless you're naturally skilled, you're an artist, or you have kids and you draw a lot, you don't really use drawing at work, do you? Right? Like, it's kind of frowned upon, and it's kind of like, why am I drawing? So with this way of expressing your idea, we're just opening up again this new way of innovative, different, creative way of expressing yourself and your ideas with your clients, with your team, with your stakeholders. So again, this is just an MVP. We're building it, and it will be much in a better place, soon. And there's a lot of different things where we want to take it literally to like 1,000 people in one time and just like, answer really big questions and pull all that information together and get a instant sentiment and analysis of how everyone's feeling, what are the themes coming up, even down to the way that we drew something, where's the kind of importance of how we drew certain bits and pieces and what those lines mean. And, of course, we're going to play with things like video, Sora. We can pull together a word cloud. We can pull together a cluster of ideas out of it in an instant. So that's the point of it, is not just to have fun, to actually, use it, and to answer the bigger questions. But if you think there's anywhere value in it, what you just experienced for a second, please talk to us, DM us, say hi, and hopefully we can, continue to build it. Yeah, so thank you so much, guys. And back to you, Henry.
And this, all I have to say is this is my final line. The only future we can make is the one that we are able to imagine. And as you said, we hope that this has given you a demonstration of how AI can help us imagine the future in new ways. So with that, thank you so much. Do feel free, if you want us to connect with us, DM with us, and we can talk about it more, how we can bring this to your organization. But thank you so much for bearing with us. Thank you much, George, for rescuing the PowerPoint. Thank you.